There's something most people never notice about a truly comforting home. It's not how spotless the floors are. It's not the color of the walls. It's not even the furniture. It's the air. The invisible atmosphere. That gentle, quiet scent that tells your nervous system, you're safe here. But here's the twist. Some homes look clean, but smell like forgotten memories. Others have a scent that wraps around you, like a hug from someone who really sees you. You can't fake that. And you can't buy it in a spray bottle at the store. The question is, what creates it? What's the real secret behind homes that always smell amazing, without that heavy, artificial stench? Even in homes with limited mobility. Even when energy is low. Even when you're caring for someone aging and fragile. Because here's the truth most people don't talk about. As we get older, or care for someone who is, smell becomes more than just a luxury. It's emotional medicine. It can trigger joy, ease agitation, reduce confusion, and bring back moments long buried in the mind. That's why today matters. In this video, I'm sharing 10 simple yet powerful cleaning secrets that professionals use to keep homes smelling fresh, gentle, and truly inviting, always. Not the kind of fake fragrance that disappears in 10 minutes. But real, lasting freshness, with ingredients and tricks you may already have at home. And no, these aren't your typical tips. Some will surprise you. Some might challenge what you thought about clean. But every single one can make a difference, especially if you're supporting a loved one in their later years. So before we jump in, I want to hear from you. Is scent something you notice in a home? Is it part of how you care for yourself, or someone else? If yes, drop a quick "I'm here for it" in the comments. And if you're new, welcome to ElderTalks Daily, where we share real, heartfelt ways to care deeper, live better, and age with intention. Alright. Let's open the first door. Because behind it is a scent secret nobody tells you about, but you'll never forget once you learn it. Number 1, the hidden bowl of baking soda behind furniture. There was a woman named Ms. Eliza, 79 years old. Sharp as a tack, stubborn in all the best ways. She had this little white bowl tucked behind her couch. No one really noticed it, until her grandkids started calling it Grandma's potion. They thought it was magic. And in a way, they were right. That plain little bowl. Just baking soda. No labels, no fancy brand. But it worked. Her home always smelled fresh, not perfumed, not masked, just light, clean air. Like nothing was trying too hard. What most people don't realize is that baking soda doesn't just cover up smells, it absorbs them. It pulls in the odor molecules floating in the air, especially the musty ones that tend to linger behind heavy furniture or under appliances. And here's where it gets clever, MS. Eliza placed that bowl strategically, right behind her couch, near the wall vent. So as warm or cool air moved through the room, it passed right over the bowl, quietly filtering and freshening as it went. Now, a lot of people only think to use baking soda in the fridge. But that's just one tiny corner. Your home has dozens of scent zones that go unnoticed, until they start to smell off. So here's what you do: take a small bowl, ceramic, glass, doesn't matter. Fill it halfway with baking soda. If you want a light scent, add a drop or two of an essential oil, lavender, lemon, eucalyptus. Something soothing. Then place it behind a piece of furniture, maybe the couch, the entryway table, even inside a linen closet. Change it out every 2 weeks, and you'll notice the difference. Now that's one secret down. But let me ask you this: when was the last time you cleaned the smell out of your furniture? Not the dirt, but the smell. Because even the cleanest homes have a hidden trap. And that's where secret number 2 comes in. Number 2, fabric spray made from vodka. I once met a hospice nurse who swore by a trick so unexpected, it made me pause. She said, if you want a room to smell like comfort, not chemicals, use vodka. Just don't drink it. I laughed, but she was dead serious. Here's what she meant: vodka, yes, plain, cheap, clear vodka, has this incredible ability to neutralize odors. Not cover them. Not perfume them. Just erase them. And when you mix it with water and a few drops of essential oil, you've got yourself a professional-grade fabric spray, minus the harsh additives. She'd use it on chair cushions, curtains, recliners, especially in spaces where her patients rested the most. The result? A soft, lingering scent. Nothing overwhelming. Just clean. Now here's the science: vodka evaporates quickly. And while it does, it lifts away odor molecules from the surface, without leaving any trace behind. No sticky residue. No artificial fog. But here's the common mistake: people think you need those store-bought sprays labeled fabric refresher or air neutralizer. Many of those contain chemicals that can irritate sensitive noses, especially in seniors. And ironically, they often trap smells more than they remove them. So here's the nurse's recipe: simple, clean, effective. In an amber glass spray bottle, mix 1 part vodka, 3 parts distilled water, 10 drops of essential oil. Lavender for calm, lemon for freshness, eucalyptus for clarity. Shake gently. Lightly mist your throw pillows, blankets, curtains, even bed sheets between washes. It's scent without shouting. Cleanliness you can't see, but you feel. Now that we've tackled fabric, let me ask you something deeper: what if the smells aren't coming from what you can see or touch, but from the air itself? Because the next secret? It doesn't sit quietly behind a couch or hide in a bottle. It fills the entire room. Naturally, and leaves behind something unforgettable. Number 3, the simmer pot method, stove therapy. It was Sunday afternoon. The kind where the sun slants through the kitchen window just right. And Mr. Harold, 82 years old, former school principal, would be at the stove, not cooking dinner, but doing something else entirely. He'd toss orange peels into a pot of water. Then a few cinnamon sticks. Maybe a sprig of rosemary. And he'd just let it simmer. His grandkids thought it was some kind of old-fashioned tea. But what Harold was really doing was crafting peace. Within 10 minutes, his home smelled like warmth. Like holidays. Like someone was home, and had been, for a long time. Now, we call this the simmer pot method, and it's an old trick that caregivers and seasoned homemakers have quietly passed around for generations. But don't let its simplicity fool you. This method doesn't just make a room smell nice, it creates atmosphere. One that soothes the nervous system and gently lifts the mood. Here's how it works. When you simmer natural ingredients like citrus peels, herbs, or spices in water, they release essential oils into the steam. This fills your home with gentle, real scent, not the sharp blast of a chemical spray, but something organic, earthy, soft. And here's why that matters for elderly care. Artificial air fresheners often contain volatile organic compounds that can irritate aging lungs. But a simmer pot? It's safe, calming, and for many, it stirs memory. The smell of cinnamon might bring back thoughts of childhood holidays. Orange and clove might remind someone of their mother's kitchen. These are not just smells. These are anchors to identity. Now here's how to do it. Take a small saucepan. Fill it halfway with water. Add your ingredients: try orange peels, cinnamon sticks, a few cloves, a sprig of rosemary, or even vanilla extract. Let it simmer on low. Add water as needed throughout the day. You can do this while folding laundry, while reading a book, or simply while sitting quietly, letting the air around you soften. One simmer pot. Endless comfort. No cords, no filters, no chemicals. Just scent, the way nature intended. And while this method works wonders for the whole house, there's a secret to scenting your space 24/7, even when the stove's turned off. You don't need heat. You don't even need electricity. Just one tiny thing, that fits in your hand. Let's move on to that now. Because secret number 4 is small, but mighty. Just scent, the way nature intended. And while this method works wonders while the pot's simmering, what about when you're out for the day? Or asleep? You want something that keeps working without effort, right? That's where this next secret comes in. It's simple. It's almost invisible. But it can quietly change the way your entire home smells. Number 4, cotton balls in vents or trash liners. There was a woman named Clara. Every time you stepped into her hallway, there was a soft hint of peppermint in the air. Not strong. Not sharp. Just clean, cool comfort. People used to ask what air freshener she used. She'd smile and say, none. It's just cotton. What she meant was this: she took simple cotton balls, added a few drops of essential oil, and tucked them in the most overlooked places, inside trash bin liners, behind curtain rods, and most importantly, inside the vents. Because when air flows through your home, whether from a heater or an AC unit, it carries everything with it. Dust. Moisture. Odors. But if it passes over something scented, it gently diffuses freshness room to room. The beauty of cotton balls is that they're passive. They don't require refills or batteries. They sit quietly, doing their job, asking nothing in return. Now here's the trick: you don't want to overdo it. Just 2 to 3 drops of a good quality essential oil, like lavender for calm, lemon for brightness, or eucalyptus for clarity. Place the cotton in corners where airflow is high but visibility is low, behind furniture, inside closet corners, even at the base of trash cans. You'll start to notice a soft lift in the air. Not overpowering. Not fake. Just fresh. But here's the common mistake: people often try to mask smells rather than neutralize the source. So they spray on top of the problem, when a little cotton ball at the source could have quietly prevented it in the first place. This method is especially helpful in homes where mobility is limited. If you're caring for someone who can't open windows or move around much, setting up scent stations like this can bring a sense of freshness into their day, without them lifting a finger. Now, we've talked about the air and the furniture. But what if the problem is deeper, hidden in places water flows, but never gets cleaned? Because there's a part of the house that many people forget. Until one day, you walk in and say, "Why does it smell like something's stuck?" You walk in and say, "Why does it smell like something's stuck?" Because sometimes, the cleanest looking kitchen still smells off. And no matter how often you wipe down the counters or mop the floors, something lingers. It's not the trash. It's not the fridge. It's the drain. Number 5, boiling drain flushes, 5:30 to 6:30, Mrs. Pat was a retired baker, her kitchen was spotless. Counters polished, floors gleaming, oven always closed with care. But for weeks, she said something smelled sour. Like old water. She cleaned everything. And still, that sour note remained. Then a home health aide suggested something that seemed too simple: flush the drain with boiling water and lemon peel. Within minutes, that smell, the one no one could trace, was gone. See, we forget that kitchen and bathroom drains collect more than water. They gather food particles, oils, soap scum, even bacteria. Over time, all of that clings to the inside of your pipes, just out of sight. You won't always see it, but you'll smell it. And once it's there, no surface cleaner will help. Now, here's the fix: once or twice a week, take a kettle or pot of boiling water. Toss in a handful of lemon or orange peels. The oils help break down grime and neutralize odors. Slowly pour it down the drain. You can also follow up with half a cup of baking soda, then a cup of white vinegar. Let it bubble for 5 to 10 minutes, then rinse again with hot water. And no, this isn't just about smell. This routine can help keep your pipes clear and reduce the risk of buildup, especially important in older homes, or homes where someone with limited mobility may not be using every sink or drain often. But here's what most people get wrong: they forget that standing water is stale water. If you have a guest bathroom, or a rarely used sink, flush it once a week, even if no one's using it. Because once smells settle in, they don't leave easily. Now, let's shift from drains to something far more soothing. What if I told you, there's a way to scent your space using the fabrics in your home, without plugs, sprays, or filters? Just a mist, a breath, and a rhythm that quietly transforms how a room feels. Let's talk about that next in secret number 6, pillow and curtain spray routine. Just a mist, a breath, and a rhythm that quietly transforms how a room feels. Because sometimes, scent doesn't need to come from a machine or a bottle. Sometimes, it can live in the places we touch every day, the pillows we lean into, the curtains that sway with the breeze, the blankets that hold us when we're still. Number 6, pillow and curtain spray routine, 6:30 to 7:30. There was a nurse named Evelyn. She worked the early shift at a memory care unit. Every morning, before the residents even woke up, she'd walk through the hall with a small amber spray bottle in her hand. One light mist on each curtain. One gentle spray across each pillow. Not enough to soak, just enough to breathe. She called it her whisper routine. And the results? Rooms that felt fresh and inviting. Residents who started their day calmer, more grounded. Staff who stopped and smiled, saying, "It just smells better here." Here's why it works: fabric. Especially soft, porous fabric like cotton and linen, holds scent. More than that, it diffuses it slowly. Every time you sit, move, or let in a breeze, those molecules release a gentle aroma into the air. And in elderly care, where overstimulation can be overwhelming, that subtlety is powerful. Now, you don't need fancy products. You can make your own mist in minutes: 1 part white vinegar, odor neutralizing, 3 parts distilled water, 10 drops of essential oil. Lavender for sleep, lemon for morning light, rosemary for clarity. Put it in a fine mist spray bottle. Lightly spritz over curtains, throw pillows, or bedding, especially in rooms where airflow is low or mobility is limited. But here's the mistake to avoid: don't drench. You're not cleaning, you're layering atmosphere. Too much, and it feels forced. Too little, and you miss the magic. Find that middle ground. It's a lovely ritual, too. And if you're a caregiver, it's a way to pour tenderness into the space, without saying a word. Just that light scent lingering in the fabric, reminding your loved one they're being cared for. Now, we've cared for the air, the drains, the fabrics. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you opened your closet, or slipped on your shoes, and really noticed how they smelled? Because sometimes, the most stubborn odors hide in the smallest corners. And the next trick? It's as easy as reaching for a laundry sheet. Let's move on to secret number 7, dryer sheets in shoes and closets. Just a laundry sheet. Simple. Ordinary. Something you probably already have stuffed in a drawer somewhere. But used the right way, it becomes a hidden tool to keep your home smelling clean, cozy, and surprisingly, cared for. Number 7, dryer sheets in shoes and closets, 7:30 to 8:30. Mr. Jean was a quiet man. Retired electrician. Wore the same orthopedic shoes every day, summer or winter. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't fussy. But his daughter once said, for a man who wears the same shoes daily, his closet always smells like fresh laundry. Want to know his trick? Dryer sheets. Folded and tucked into places nobody thinks to check, inside the toes of his shoes, behind closet doors, inside old suitcases, even inside the sleeves of rarely worn jackets. It was subtle. But every time you opened a drawer or stepped into his closet, you'd get that faint scent of clean. Not cologne. Not bleach. Just comfort. Here's why it works. Dryer sheets are designed to neutralize static and soften fabric, but they also carry just enough scent to lift the air in enclosed spaces. And they work especially well in areas that trap odor: shoes, coat closets, storage bins, even the corners of medicine cabinets. And here's the thing, those enclosed, rarely cleaned areas, they accumulate. Especially when mobility becomes limited, or when bending and reaching isn't easy anymore. Shoes tucked under beds, jackets stored away, they become little scent traps. So here's what you can do: slide a dryer sheet into each shoe overnight, especially ones that are worn daily or without socks. Tape one to the inside of a closet door. Place a sheet between folded linens or tucked inside dresser drawers. And once a month, refresh them. New sheet, new lift. It's low effort, low cost, and brings a small joy every time the scent catches you off guard. Now, most people never think of this. They clean their clothes, they mop their floors, but their storage spaces, they forget. But the nose never forgets. And neither does the heart when it comes to the scent of home. Now, let's shift gears again. Because the next place scent hides, or clings, is one that gets the most daily use, but the least attention. I'm talking about couches, carpets, and recliners, the things we sit on, nap on, and snack on, but rarely deep clean. And that brings us to something you can mix in your own kitchen in under 60 seconds. Let's go to secret number 8, DIY carpet and couch deodorizing powder. And that's the beauty of it. Sometimes, it's the smallest things, like a sheet of scented fabric, that quietly hold the home together. But then there are the big things. The heavyweights. The couch cushions that have caught every movie night. The carpet where grandkids played, spilled juice, and dragged in who knows what from outside. The old recliner that's seen more naps than conversations lately. They may look clean on the surface. But deep down, they're holding on to smells, quietly, stubbornly. That's where this next secret steps in. Not a product from the store. Not a gadget you have to plug in. Just a simple blend from your pantry that turns soft surfaces into silent air fresheners. Number 8, DIY carpet and couch deodorizing powder. 8:30 to 9:30, there was a caregiver named Josie who took care of her 84-year-old aunt. Her aunt had a favorite chair, old, floral, worn in just right. But over time, it began to smell, tired. Not dirty. Just, stale. You know that feeling? When something holds the scent of 100 quiet afternoons. Josie didn't have a steam cleaner. She didn't need one. She reached for a mixing bowl and made a powder her aunt would later call the fairy dust. And within the hour, that chair smelled like a new beginning. Here's how she did it. 1 cup of baking soda, half a cup of cornstarch, helps absorb moisture and odor, a tablespoon of dried herbs, think lavender, rosemary, or crushed mint. Mix it all together and store in a jar. Then, she sprinkled a light layer across the recliner. Let it sit for about 30 minutes while they had tea. Came back, vacuumed it up, and just like that, the stale was gone. No perfume. No residue. Just fresh, clean air rising from the cushions. And the best part? It works just as well on carpets, throw rugs, pet beds, or anywhere smells like to settle in. Now here's what most people get wrong: they use sprays on top of fabric, hoping to mask a smell. But this powder? It pulls the odor out, quietly, thoroughly. It's not just surface level, it's deep cleaning without the water. And for someone older who may be sensitive to chemicals or can't handle strong smells, this gentle method can be a game changer. But we're not done yet. Because while fabrics carry a scent you can control, the air itself is always moving. Always collecting. Always shifting. And believe it or not, there's something that can help balance it, purify it, even, while casting a glow that feels like home. Let's talk about that next. You clean a room, open a window, light a candle. And still, sometimes the air feels heavy. Like it's carrying something unseen. Maybe it's humidity. Maybe it's old cooking smells. Maybe it's just time. But what if there was a way to quietly refresh that air? No chemicals, no sprays, just a natural filter, glowing softly in the corner of the room. Number 9. Himalayan salt lamps, not just decoration. 9:30 to 10:30, Mr. Leo had one in every room. Not because he believed in crystals. Not for the trend. He said he liked how they felt. They make the room feel easier to breathe in, he'd say, flipping the switch as the soft amber glow filled the space. And he wasn't wrong. Himalayan salt lamps are carved from pink rock salt, often mined in the mountains of Pakistan, and when gently heated by a small bulb inside, they do something remarkable. They draw in moisture from the air, absorbing particles that often carry odor, dust, even allergens. Now, let's be clear, are they magic? No. Are they air purifiers in the medical sense? Not quite. But do they shift the feeling of a space? Absolutely. Because as they warm up, they emit negative ions, tiny molecules that bond with positively charged particles like dust, mold, or pet dander. And in homes where the air tends to be dry, still, or stale, especially in rooms with older adults who stay indoors a lot, these lamps can bring a kind of natural lightness. But there's something else. They don't just affect the air. They affect the mood. That soft, amber glow is calming. Grounding. In the evening, when harsh overhead lights feel too bright, a salt lamp brings the kind of glow that says, you're safe. You're home. You can rest now. Place one in the bedroom. Or the hallway outside a senior's room. Or the corner of a living room, just behind the recliner. The key is to let it run, consistently. It's not instant. It's steady. Now, most people treat them like decoration. But they're much more than that. They're part of a scent strategy that's not just about what you smell, but about how the air feels around you. And speaking of feeling grounded, there's one final secret I want to share. And this one doesn't need a recipe or a machine. All it needs is life. They're alive. Not perfumed. Not sprayed. Not scrubbed to sterile perfection. Just gently alive, with roots, leaves, and something in the air that you can't quite name, but you feel it the moment you step inside. Number 10. Rotating indoor herbs and plants, 10:30 to 11:30, Ms. Ruth lived in a small bungalow just outside town. She didn't have much. But what she did have was green. A little pot of mint on the kitchen sill. A sprig of rosemary by the front door. Eucalyptus hanging in the bathroom window, swaying every time a breeze slipped through the screen. And here's the thing, her house smelled like something sacred. Not like a garden. Not like dirt. But like memory, and light, and something you wanted to breathe in a little longer. Indoor herbs and aromatic plants don't just sit there. They give back. They release natural oils that gently scent the air, purify what you inhale, and improve emotional clarity, especially in spaces where movement is limited and air circulation is poor. Think about it, a pot of mint near your bed. Every time you brush past it, that fresh, uplifting aroma rises. A eucalyptus bundle in the shower. The steam turns it into nature's diffuser. A bit of lavender near a window, calming, floral, gentle on the senses. And for older adults, those who may not get outside as often anymore, these plants bring in more than fragrance. They bring in life. They remind the space to keep growing, to stay soft, to breathe. Here's the beauty of it, you don't need a green thumb. You don't need a garden. Just a few small pots. A little light. And a bit of rotation to keep the air from going stale. Start with low-maintenance herbs like mint, refreshing, uplifting rosemary, woody, energizing lavender, calming, sleep-supportive eucalyptus, crisp, clarifying. Even one plant can shift a room's energy. But here's what people often overlook: they treat plants like decoration. Static. Passive. But when you water them, brush your hands across their leaves, smell the oils on your fingers. It becomes a ritual. A quiet form of care. And the room feels it. So by now, we've talked about powders and sprays, simmer pots and salt lamps, cotton balls and drain flushes. But this last one? It's not a secret you use. It's a secret you grow with. And sometimes, that's the most powerful scent of all. Because some of the best-smelling homes aren't scented at all. They're alive with green things that give back more than we ever realize. Let's explore that now. So here we are, 10 simple secrets. But let's be honest. They're not really about cleaning. Not just about fresh air or tidy spaces or clever home hacks. Because for many elderly people, scent is not just a detail. It's a doorway. A clean-smelling home doesn't just say, someone vacuumed. It says someone cares. It says you're still seen, still held in this space. Smell is one of the last senses to fade. It's one of the first to spark a memory. It can take you back decades, in a heartbeat. That pot of cinnamon and orange. It smells like holidays. That faint lavender mist on the pillow. It smells like the room you shared with someone you loved. A hint of mint near the window. Suddenly you're 8 years old again, in your mother's garden, dirt on your hands and sun in your hair. That's the real reason this matters. Because as the body slows down, as the memory slips, as the routines get smaller, quieter, harder. A home that smells like peace becomes a home that heals. Not perfectly. Not instantly. But gently. It lowers the shoulders. It softens the breath. It reminds someone who maybe hasn't been reminded in a while, that they still deserve to feel comfort, not just care. And here's the truth, you don't need to do all 10 things today. You don't need to flip your house upside down. But maybe, just maybe, you pick one. That baking soda bowl behind the couch. That mist on the curtain. That eucalyptus in the shower. Try it. Then watch. Watch how your mood shifts. Watch how your loved one sits a little straighter, smiles a little sooner, sleeps a little deeper. Because a peaceful home doesn't shout. It whispers. It holds. It breathes. And in the moments when life feels loud and overwhelming, a soft scent in the air might be the only thing that says, you're still safe here. You're still home. Caring for a space is part of caring for a soul. And every spray, every simmer pot, every tiny cotton ball you hide behind the vent, it all adds up to something sacred. So take a breath. And know this, you're not just cleaning. You're creating peace. For yourself, or for someone who needs it more than words can say. So let's take a quiet breath together, and walk back through what we've shared today. We began with a simple question: what makes a home smell like peace? And the answers, as it turns out, weren't in expensive products or complicated routines. They were in the small things. The intentional things. The kind of care that lingers in the air, long after the moment has passed. To recap. We started with a bowl of baking soda tucked behind furniture, gently absorbing mustiness from the air. Then we unlocked the magic of vodka-based fabric sprays, quiet warriors against odors in pillows and upholstery. We simmered spices and citrus on the stove, not for flavor, but for feeling. We tucked cotton balls with essential oils into places no one sees, yet everyone smells. We flushed out drains with lemon peel and boiling water, reminding our sinks to stay fresh from the inside out. We misted curtains and pillows with soft, homemade sprays, because fabrics can be diffusers, too. We slipped dryer sheets into shoes and drawers, catching little pockets of odor before they bloom. We mixed a powder from baking soda and herbs that brought carpets and couches back to life. We lit Himalayan salt lamps, not just for glow, but for calm, filtered air. And we brought in plants and herbs, letting nature take its place again in the quiet corners of our home. But these aren't just cleaning secrets. They're gentle habits of dignity. They're tools to build peace, presence, and pride into the spaces where we care for ourselves, or those we love. And now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these have you tried before? Or maybe you have a family trick, something your grandmother always did, or a scent that brings you back to your childhood. Drop it in the comments. Really, don't hold it in. There's so much wisdom in the ways we care for our spaces, and you never know who needs to hear what you have to share. And if this video brought a little freshness into your day, if it reminded you of the quiet power of scent, of presence, of intention, I'd be honored if you'd subscribe to ElderTalks Daily. This is where we talk about the things that often go unspoken in caregiving and aging. The small, sacred details that make all the difference. No fluff. No judgment. Just care. Real. Honest. Gentle. Thank you for spending this time with me. For listening. For caring. For remembering that even a single drop of lavender oil or a lemon peel in a pot can shift the whole mood of a room, and maybe even a whole day. Until next time. Stay kind to your space. Stay kind to yourself. And I'll see you in the next video.